All right. Welcome to class where everything is perfect. I hope you guys are having a great day. Yeah, I'm glad we got to restart. Sometimes we really restart 5 times, 1 time, whatever. So again, just to tell you guys where we're going today, this chair looks familiar, right? And last week, for whatever reason, you may not have gotten exactly what you wanted. As I was walking around and helping people, a lot of people were accidentally getting this white open area that they didn't want. I noticed that on the legs it would be perfect, and then boom, it would like go over and grab this whole white area. Does that sound familiar? So what we're gonna do today is learn how to kind of merge the different selection methods together. And then probably more importantly, we're going to learn how to subtract things from our selection. And when I say subtract, I mean how to take this part out, okay? And there's 2 ways of doing it. One, you can do it while you're working in your selection method, or 2, you can do it after the fact, right? So at this point, everybody, if you opened up that file, it would be after the fact, right? Because you've worked on it, it's done, so it's after the fact. We'll go over both ways. I'll probably do one of them in the Spark and then one of them in the Brewer, but if it just kind of like naturally moves the way to where I can do both of them at once, I'll do it that way. Pamela?
Mine's frozen again.
What's the error message on your screen?
It's just, I can't do anything.
Will you read the error message? Is that an error message that's up? What does that say?
It says you want to update Creative Cloud.
Let's see if we can bypass. Okay. Cool. Now before I get going too far, I'm just going to point out again what I've done on my screen. At this point, I hope that all of you guys have opened it once at home or outside of the lab. And I just like to get as much room on my screen as possible. So I can't even remember what it looks like when you first open it up, but I think there's one more menu off to the right that shows you like libraries and shortcuts. This is where I will typically have my screen while we're in this class. But if you have any questions on that, I would say go ahead and watch one of the first videos of our class. And in case you don't remember where those are, let me show you. I think it's under discussions actually, we'll see. So under discussions we have our YouTube playlist. And if there's anything that you had questions on, you can go to this link, and at the end of class, I put those up. So here's last week's class, Selection Tools and Masking. The first class may have been where I went over how to change your screen to look like mine, okay? But just a quick overview in case you forgot where those were. So to start me off this week, why don't you guys help me? And what I'll do, I'll start with you, Fabi, if that's okay. Usually I go ends, and then middles. Today we're gonna do middles. So Fabi, looking at my screen, hopefully your screen too, how many layers do we have right now?
Just one, and it's the background.
Yep, so we've got 1 layer and it's the background. This is gonna be really subtle. Sharissa, see if you can help me with this. And before I go too far, I explained this in my Revit class, I'm gonna explain it to you guys. If at any point you don't want to answer something, I don't care if it's because you don't know, you weren't paying attention, you're not in the mood, just say pass and we'll move on, okay? Sharissa, do you know, we'll do it yes or no. Am I in the move selection tool right now?
No.
I'm not. I'm gonna come to you, Olivia. How would I get to the move selection tool?
There's a shortcut, but I don't.
That's all right. Samantha, do you remember what it is to go to move or selection?
I want to say it's V.
It is V, good. So if right now my cursor to you guys looks red, right? So the cursor that you want to see on your screen, and again, you still won't see this on my screen, is a black cursor with a 4-sided arrow. So for the most part, not all the time, your cursor should look something like this. Okay, so the one downside of me having to project on your computers is that now my cursor will always be red. So while we're in this class, when my cursor changes and I need you to notice that, I will either write it on the board or shout out to you guys. But just remember, if you are ever done with a command, so like if you are done masking, if you're done selecting, come back here. Always be in V because it does the least amount of damage, okay? Jackson, did you have a favorite selection tool from last week? Maybe which one was it?
Magnetic lasso.
You like the magnetic? Okay. So I'm going to say that you are like a classic man because magnetic lasso is old. I'm glad you like it. It's my husband's favorite, and I tease him because I'm like, Photoshop has come so far, but it is a good one. What else? Shout out some other favorites.
The new one's pretty good.
The new one's cool, right? I'm even, excited about that one. Polygon? Okay, old school people, but I love the polygon. That's awesome. Anybody like the quick selection tool? No, you did? Okay, so I love the quick selection tool. So the old school me, like when I was in school 15, 20 years ago, I love the polygon, only because sometimes with the magnetic tool, when you're trying to select a curve, it doesn't make a curve, but it kind of goes in and out because, pixels are little squares. So it doesn't know where to follow on the curve. The reason why I like the polygon is I can fake what that curve looks like, right? So I can start here and try to make it look clean. Now with the files that I gave you, they don't have a lot of pixels. They're small images off the internet. So these curves have even less pixels to go off of. That's why the magic wand had a hard time, because it just was like, I don't know how to process this. But today we'll go through and try to combine some of them. And I hope by the end of, not this semester, but like come midterm, you will love the magic wand. We might not be able, we'll see if we can update our computers to get 2020 in the middle of the semester. The new selection window, it's weird. I'm just like, well, what's the point in us using Photoshop if you're going to do all the work? Photoshop just does so much for us now. I love it. It's pretty cool. So with that, let me show you guys kind of, did anybody like the magic wand tool? Pretty pointless for this, right? It's just like, Naima, why are you doing this? Let me just preface this by saying, in a week or two, when we start doing color selection is where we love the magic wand. You'll tell it what color to find and it'll go find all those colors and we will say thank you. It's really just an intro. So to start, what I'm going to do is I always like to do it like the quickest and most efficient way, right? And this is subjective because this is how I've kind of gone through. But let's start with doing the quick selection tool. So I know I kind of cheated because I had it open, but if I was in V, which I am right now, so you guys can check my toolbar, I'm in V. What is the shortcut to get to the magic wand menu? W, good. So you go to W. Now again, just looking at my screen graphically, am I on the magic wand? No. How do I get there? Let's see. So Camille, how would I get to the magic wand on my screen? So I did do W and something's highlighted. Sid? Yeah, right click it. Good. So I right click and then I can go to quick selection. Okay. So now I'm on quick selection. You can't see my cursor right now. Can you guys explain what your cursor looks like right now? Is it a circle or a crosshair?
It's a cross with a circle in the middle.
Isn't it? Maybe I'm blind. Okay, this is what I see. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Does it look like that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't think my eyes see a circle. Is that not what yours looks like? I'm gonna have to come see what yours looks like. Let's make sure. Okay, so my caps lock, yeah. So if your caps lock is on, no, that's good though. So remember last week when we talked about brushes? So right now everybody play with caps lock. We want it to look like the circle, so that's good. Yeah, no, we're good. So when you turn on cap, and again, I'm sorry you can't see it on my screen, so play. So turn caps lock on and off, sorry.
Mine just showed up the circle, it wasn't with the caps lock on.
So let me slow down. If caps lock is off, you will see the circle.
Okay.
So don't look at my screen. That won't work, okay? So if caps lock is off, and that's where you want to be, you will see the crosshair with the circle. Ready? Caps lock off.
Crosshairs, just the circle.
Yeah, ours is just a circle.
We have a circle. Hooray! Okay. Why does the circle matter? It shows you how big your brush is, right? let's practice that too. So everybody, regardless of whether you see a crosshair or not, make sure you see a circle, okay? And you can see a circle by making sure what is off.
Caps lock.
Okay, and you know caps lock is on or off. You can look at your keyboard and a light will be on where there's a capital A. Sometimes, depending on most modern keyboards now, well, the caps lock actually has a light on it, like on the actual button. So mine is off. I promise I see a circle, but I do see a tiny little crosshair. I'm sorry if you don't, but I do have a tiny one. Now, do you guys remember from last week how to make that circle bigger or smaller? I'm doing it.
Brackets.
Your brackets. So go ahead and play with that. I'm going to ask you in a minute which one makes it bigger, which one makes it smaller. And in fact, Lorena, let me ask you, which bracket made it smaller, left or right? The left one. Good. So this is just a really quick keyboard shortcut that you guys can use to change your brush size. Sid, did you have a question? Oh, you still don't have a circle. Sorry. Head off. No.
So the circle is with the caps lock off, right?
So hit W for one. So hit W for me. Okay, back here in one. Now right click and get the magic or your quick selection.
For Poly Lasso.
Now you see a circle. Now make it bigger or smaller. You're good. Okay, quick recap as to how I got here. I'm going to hit escape and then I'm going to hit V. Now I'm back in the move tool, so we're just going to recap it, okay? So to get to the quick selection tool, help me out, Kenzie. What did I hit?
W.
Yep, I hit W. Right now, I have worked with Photoshop enough to recognize that this is the quick selection tool. But Taylor, let's pretend that I wanted to use the magic wand. What could I do to switch the tool in the W menu? Good, I can right click. Let's do some more troubleshooting. Let's say, Alina, right? So Alina, I don't see a circle. I only see a crosshair. What can I hit on my keyboard to fix it?
Caps lock.
Good. Everybody with me so far? Yes? Coming back over here, Kristen. Kristen, if I wanted to make my selection circle bigger or smaller, what do I hit?
The brackets.
The brackets, yep, brackets left and right. So usually a good rule of thumb is whatever size you want to be selecting is how big your circle should be. So right now, again, because you can't see my circle, I'm gonna make mine too big. Like I am at 70. So up here, do you see where it says 70? The other way that you could manually get here is right click and, nope, I can't do it from there. That's only in brush, sorry. You can come up here and change it to 70.
Okay, can you repeat that? Because our computers.
Say that one more time.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so if, I was just telling you guys, mine is too big, it's at 70. If you want to make,
Yeah, ours froze. That's why it's having me redo it.
you can't see me at all?
Nope.
Do the rest of you guys see me?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay. Excellent. Not excellent. And you're both on laptops?
Yeah.
I'd say go snuggle up next to someone so I don't have to repeat everything. So
I started, is that okay?
bring your laptop over. Absolutely. But just in case. Okay. So if you don't want to go through the brackets, like right now, if you don't want to go whatever, you can come pull down here
Oh, okay.
and size 70 pixels.
Sorry, I just missed that part.
That's okay. That's it. So what you guys will see now, and try this too, if you're at 70, try to grab a leg, and can you see that it's just like way too big? It's grabbing way too much. So what I'm going to have you guys do, I talked to Taylor, I need to come back over here. Kristen, have I talked to you yet? No.
Yes, you did.
You did? We did. Okay, so now, don't tell me your name. I know it's Winterbottom, but I don't, no, Kate.
Yes.
Kate. I want you to play with your brackets, okay, and tell me what size would be a better size for grabbing the legs.
So I'm at 25 right now, and I have
Okay.
a good
Yeah. 25 seems good. Yep, 25, I got the whole leg too. So just a quick demonstration. Could you guys see between the 70 and the 25 how much easier it was for me to grab the leg? Yeah. And now I'm going to keep going around, and this is where I might lose you. I might lose part of my chair. Do you guys see how it already got the white part, and I didn't want that? So now this is where we get to combine different methods, or we can use subtraction and adding in our selections too. And this works for any selection method. So it doesn't matter if we are in the magic wand, if we're in the Poly Lasso, it will work for any one of them. So the first thing that we can do, if we want to take something out, go ahead and hit the Alt key. And if you have a cursor, tell me what happens to the cursor in the middle of your screen. Or sorry, in the middle of your brush. It turns into a minus. So at any point, if you want to subtract something, hit the minus sign. And you see on my screen, I'm able to actually go through and subtract. And you can do this with a click and drag. I'm going to do that one more time. So all of us will get to a different point in selection, right? See how now my legs decided to be crazy, where it wasn't before? So now, do you guys remember what the button was? Okay, I can hit Alt.
And do you have to keep pressing it? Because that's what I did for it to stay.
No, you press it once, and it should just, so on my screen, sorry, different commands are a little bit different. Sorry, one sec, let me finish this part. Every time you want to change it to subtract, hit the Alt button.
So you have to hold it.
You'll have to hold it. And let me come up here just a little bit.
So you do have to hold it.
Yeah, let me come up. Sorry, I'm not quite there yet, guys. Sorry. No, we're all at different places. So now that I'm up here, so listen to my computer for just one sec. So if I hold Alt, right, I can click and drag and get all of it at once, and I'm not holding Alt. See, my hand's up here. But the reason why I don't have to hold it is because I'm holding my mouse. Does that make sense? No. Okay, so let me do this one more. So it's weird, but listen too. Can you see my screen, what I'm doing? Okay, so on my screen, right now you can't see it, I'm holding Alt, there's a minus. Okay. So I'm gonna press on my mouse and not let go of my mouse, but I've let go of Alt. Okay. So this whole time I'm holding on to my mouse. But another way that you could do it, I can hit Alt, right? And then basically just hold the Alt key down and click. Either way works, it's just a matter of what you're comfortable with. Let me add this part back in, okay? And now I'm gonna try to, let me do one other thing here. I'm zooming in a little bit. I want to grab this leg right here. So I'm going to make this bracket a little bit smaller. It grabbed that leg pretty well, but do you see that once I zoom in how like skewed this one is? See how that one's kind of crazy? I can actually go through and completely unadd this and then add it back in if I wanted to. We're just getting started. Okay, so I subtracted that, and now I'm actually going to skip out of the magic wand tool because I've done this with the magic wand tool twice and it didn't work. So now, without doing anything, I can come up here to a lasso tool. So Jackson, you mentioned you like magnetic lasso. I'm going to click on that. And now I can, oh wait, sorry. What should I hit first to know that I'm adding? I haven't told you guys added. I hit Shift. So Alt subtracts and Shift adds. You guys got that? So Olivia, you were here last class.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was not those keys, right?
No.
It was a different key. We won't talk about that key.
Yeah.
You're learning 2 languages at once. And I'm trying to teach 2 languages at once, but you know. So I'm holding Shift because I want to add to the selection, right? So I'm holding the Shift key. And I know you guys can't see it, but I have a cute little magnet. I've got like the lasso around it and then a plus sign now, okay? The plus sign is really subtle, but I can magnet around this. Whoops. Can you guys see how I kind of went skewed by the chair?
Holding the Shift key?
No, just once. So I'm not holding anything. To fix this, take a look at my screen. Pamela, did you lose your computer again?
Huh?
Is your computer not working?
No, it's working.
Oh, okay, cool. Just checking. So from here, if I hit backspace, it deletes the last node. Backspace, backspace, backspace. It's still crazy because you have to keep, in my opinion, you have to keep your mouse close to the nodes or it's just going to keep adding them. But backspace gets rid of them. Okay. And then to finish it, this is something that always drives me a little bit crazy because you can either come to your start point and double click or you can hit enter. So I'm going to hit enter. That worked. Okay, so enter or double click where you started. So far I've used magnetic wand, right? No, what was it called? No. Magic wand, thank you. I've used the magic wand. I just used magnetic lasso. Now I'm going to add the poly lasso. So Bailey, this might be tricky because I'm probably somewhere completely different than you are. But I have selection on my screen and I want to add to it. I've already changed it to Poly Lasso. What button should I hit to keep adding? Shift. Okay, let me show you guys. I'm not going to hit shift. I'm just going to click. See how it goes away?
Yeah.
Don't fret. This happened enough to where Adobe was like, we should have people hit Control Z and have them bring back their stuff. Because enough people swore after that happened that they were like, oh, let's make a change. So if at any point you accidentally lose what you wanted, right then I just hit escape and it came back, but you could also hit Control Z to go back. Okay. So now that I'm here, I can remember to hit shift. I see a plus sign on my lasso now. And again, I'm just going to click along here where I want to add. Same as the magnetic lasso, I can hit enter and it adds this or double click where you started. Okay. For this last part of the chair, let's see. I mean, do whichever one you like, but try to get the chair really clean. So this is where I'm going to get really OCD. See this little bump out right here? I'm going to zoom in on it. So to zoom in, I'm holding the Alt key and zooming in. I don't even want that. So if I want to take something out, what key do I hit? Alt, good. So I want this out. So right now I'm carving out what I don't want. Do you see where that line is? And then basically, since I know that this is gone, I just need to make sure that I draw something around this area. Basically, I'm carving it out, so I need to go around it. I know that that seems weird, so I'm gonna hit escape. Let me do this one more time. So Alt, do you see why I'm drawing the line here is my first question. That's where we want to carve out from. See how I want to get rid of this whole chunk? If I hit enter right now, oh, it worked. Okay, it worked. Let me make it bigger. Let me make it a bigger mistake to see if it would still work. If it works, let me just say that Adobe has come a long way, and I will be so excited. Okay, it did it then too. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, see how that one didn't work? It's kind of a little bit jagged. So let me show you here. So this time I want to take all of this out. See that really weird shape? Okay, so the first thing, what button do I hit to take it out? Alt. Okay, and I have it written up there just in case. And this is a little bit different than other programs, so it might take you a minute to remember. But I'm going to hit Alt and I'm going to start carving out where I want my line to go. So the next part, see all of these crazy lines right here? I need to make sure that I encompass all of those crazy lines. So do you guys see how big I drew that? It doesn't matter how big I draw, I just need to make sure I encompass all of that. And then I can hit enter and it goes away.
Okay,
Yes, Ed?
I'm still confused.
That's okay.
I'm really sorry that we have to go backwards for this.
No, that's fine. There's no going backwards. This is all so new, and we're taking this part slow on purpose because this is the rest of the semester. So really, you shouldn't apologize.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm trying to fill in the middle part of my
This right here, okay? So is yours white right now? Like, is the white part selected? Okay, I'm gonna copy you. So I'm gonna do Shift to add it, but we're gonna do it with the magic wand because that'll be easier. Sorry, quick selection. Let me add you, let me add you. Okay, am I kind of where you are?
Yeah.
Okay, let me zoom in. All right. And now you just want to get rid of this part, right?
Yeah.
What tool do you want to use?
So I was using the magnetic one.
Okay, I don't love it, but we're gonna do it with the magnetic one because even though I don't love it,
The polygonal.
we're gonna make it work exactly how you want it to work.
Well, I don't mind using the polygonal. You can use whatever you want.
We'll do magnetic. We're gonna do magnetic. So we grab magnetic, right? So once we have the magnetic, see how mine just went away because I clicked on the screen. I'm gonna hit escape. That didn't bring it back. So I'm gonna hit Control Z. It's back.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
So I pressed it.
Yep, so, well, this time, do you want to add to your selection or do you want to take out? Because if you look at it this way, this whole thing right here is like a giant bubble of what you've selected.
Oh, so I want to take it out.
You want to take it out. It's like a donut in the middle. So if we hit Alt, we should be able to come through. And even with the magnetic, do you guys hear me clicking? So I like, even though it selects it on its own, I like to kind of encourage it and say, yep, right here, yep, right there, because I've just noticed that with the magnetic wand, it will just, out of the blue, kind of go crazy. So again, I'm just encouraging it by clicking.
And then what do I do on them? So I can double click?
Yep, double click or hit enter, either one.
Thank you.
You don't clap though. Eventually it'll have voice commands. And when you say a swear word, it'll undo it. When you clap, it'll be like, yes, it worked. That would be awesome. Okay, so we do all of this. And yes, this took a minute, but that's okay. What was the point of all of this? Why do we even want to isolate? Look at this magic wand garbage right here. So now, I'm still in the magic wand, so I'm like, okay, you can see it here that it's not part of the selection, but why didn't you see that the first time? Anyway, so what's the point of all this? After we have it selected, what are we trying to do? We're trying to mask it, right? We're trying to isolate these things. So as soon as you have the chair selected, go ahead and hit mask, and now you should have an isolated chair. And hopefully, you get a better result than what you got last week. Yeah?
So are you supposed to hold down shift?
Yes. I'm just gonna say yes. And really, the correct answer, Sharissa, is depending on the tool you're on, it changes. So a good rule of thumb is that when you're on quick selection, you don't need to hold it down, but you just hold it every time you're trying to take out or minus. But if you're on a lasso, you just hit it once, and that whole selection you lasso will work.
So this is really annoying because I zoomed in and I'm trying to get this white part out.
Oh, are you trying to zoom out now?
No, and it just grabs
Look
the
at
whole
what I
chunk
did.
instead of like going pixel by pixel.
So maybe a better, which one are you trying to use? Quick.
The one you like.
Okay, so in that case, I'd probably use a new one because if it doesn't understand what you're trying to select, that's why we are combining them. It might be better to move to a Poly Lasso so you can just slice it exactly where you want it. It does a pretty good job, but it's not perfect yet, so we have to help it. Okay. I wanted to show you guys one other thing while we're in here. I think this will be an easy chair to use, but before I do, let me just ask you, did you guys have a minute to isolate your chair the way you like? Yeah? Does anybody still need a minute? I guess you could always come back. Okay. So we see a preview. Sorry, Alina, did you need just a sec? Are you good?
No, I just said it worked.
Okay. So we see this little preview of the chair off to the side and what's masked, right? Last week, I also pointed out that above the enter key, there's a slash key. So hit slash. And do you see that now your screen kind of has red on it? That red indicates where your mask is, okay? So wherever your mask is where something has been removed. Now, I don't know why we would do this, but just bear with me, okay? Let's say that we wanted to take this leg out of the mask. So we've accidentally, no, at this point we haven't accidentally, we just want to keep adding to our mask. Do you guys know how you would do that this week? Maybe? Will it come back to you? I'm going to give you guys like 30 seconds to think about it. You don't have to do it, but look at Photoshop. Think about what layer is selected, what part of your layer is selected. Think about how you'd even do it. Okay, I'm just going to wait. We'll see what we can do.
Okay, is it normal that it freezes on my computer as well? Or is there like a problem with it?
Normal is subjective. I don't know. I think
when I was doing homework, it kept crashing too.
that's not normal. Usually it should be pretty smooth.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on there. One thing that I would check is you can hop on to Adobe's website and look at minimum computer requirements. This is really graphically heavy, right? Like we're doing a lot simultaneously. Like we're zooming in, we're zooming out, we're selecting pixels. So if it keeps crashing, I would check the minimum computer requirements and compare them to yours, just to see. One thing that might help if you have other programs running, just shut them down and just dedicate everything you can to Photoshop. Okay, so let me just ask you conceptually, would you guys know how to add to a mask if you needed to after the fact? Maybe?
Don't you add another layer
You wouldn't even need to add another layer. Pamela, what was your guess?
with the brush?
Yeah, and tell me specifically what to do with the brush.
If you
What color? Let's start with that. So when you're masking, what color masks? What's our cloak of invisibility? Black, right? So do you guys see that I already have a mask layer, right? So if I wanted to continue masking on this layer, what color would I use? Black, good. So let me tell you how selection methods and the brush tool can work together, okay? One thing that we could do, remember when we were doing like the scratch card last week, right? The most basic thing that we can do, so we're about to do stuff and then undo it and then do it again, right? Before we do that, does everybody see this little like icon, 3 boxes and the arrow back? That's our history. So click on that and then use your double-sided arrow down at the bottom where I'm pointing to drag that down so we can see more. So this is all of the work you've done. Good job. Okay. That's our history. So we're gonna, again, wherever you are right now, remember where that is because we're gonna be coming back and forth to this point. So first, what do I need to click on my screen to work on the mask? A or B? B, because this is my mask, right? I don't want to paint on my chair, but I want to paint on my mask. Everybody got that? Okay. Once you are on your actual mask, go ahead and hit B for brush for me. And what color should this be over here? Black. If it's not black, what key could I hit really quick to toggle back and forth? See how I'm going white? Close. Right now, it's neighbor. X. Good. I love the enthusiasm though. You were there. You were there. You were trying to say ZX. You have this Parisian accent that came through. Okay. So if I wanted to just use the brush, yes, I could come through and just kind of chunk this out of here, right? But see how I'm also getting rid of the bottom of the chair? It's not very exact or precise. Does it work? Yes. Is your OCD teacher going to be happy you did it that way? Maybe not, right? Okay. So, do you guys see your history? Go ahead and click back up to where we started. So mine was add layer mask. Okay. And now we're going to combine the two methods. So this time I'm going to click on my chair because now I want to select that leg. You guys know how to select the leg. Use any selection tool that you want. Okay.
Another question.
Yeah.
If I hit something, am I full panel?
It's probably probably tab.
This.
Oh,
it all
hit
changed.
cancel.
Oh, is that all it is?
Yeah, just be like, psych.
I was like, I can't find where everything went.
There you go.
Thanks.
Uh-huh. Okay. So now that we have a leg selected, what I want you guys to do is we need to turn this area black. So we could go B for brush, and I cheated. Now I'm back on my mask. I very subtly clicked on it. So once we're in B for brush, can you guys at least see my cursor, how it's all the way up here? Okay, here's what's cool about selecting something first. Even if I click here, so listen, I am clicking, because it's not within my selection range, it ignores me. So I can come up here, and the only place where my brush will apply is in the selection range right here.
Because you pre-selected it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, that's not working.
I'm so sorry. We'll make it work for you. Let me go back up. So you have your legs selected, right? Okay. Do you have your mask selected?
Yes.
Okay. And you are in B for brush.
Yes.
Is your brush black?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and check this for me. How big is your brush? It's small? Make it bigger. Mine is huge because I'm lazy. I've got a giant 90 brush. If your brush, okay, so it's probably just kind of Xing it out a little bit. Did everybody make their leg disappear?
Mine's not turned black.
Oh no, okay, I know why. So Alina, look over here. You want to make sure that your mask is selected and not your chair. So come over to your history and get rid of all of your brush tools, okay? And then click on your mask and then do it again. Okay.
Get rid of all my brush tools. How do I get rid of all of them?
So click on, come back here to either where you selected your leg, so see how I'm in quick selection and my leg is selected, or come back to the last thing you did before you started working.
Oh, okay.
Got it? Okay. Moment of honesty. Can we be vulnerable? Remember that for who wasn't here on the first day of class? Jackson wasn't. Who else wasn't? You guys missed the kumbaya. We'll ask you guys questions later, but we're going to be vulnerable. How many of you guys painted your layer black? Either today or during your homework? Anybody? Okay. So, Alina, it happens. The important thing is, it doesn't matter that it happens because we can always fix it, right?
Yeah.
The important thing is, wait, why is this painting my chair black? Just knowing how to fix it is important. Okay, I'm going to show you guys one other way. So, Alina, I'm just hoping that yours is gone.
Yeah, where's that?
Come back to where you had your chair, your leg selected. So bring it back. So go into your history, just select this again. And then meet me on your mask.
I got it.
Okay, cool. It's back, right?
Oh, wait, no.
You got it, but now we're undoing it.
Because her selection was like so wide and like.
Oh no.
But it worked.
Good.
There's nothing there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll take it. So the other thing that I want to do, I'm not lazy, I am efficient. So the brush, you kind of have to brush for a minute. Another thing that you guys can do is something called the paint bucket. We haven't talked about that yet. So everybody hit G for me because a paint bucket, I don't know. G stands for gradient. And within the gradient menu is your bucket. So knowing that, pretend it's one of the magic wand tools. Can you guys get to the bucket using the gradient shortcut? Try it. I will help you in 15 seconds, but I just want to see if you can find it on your own. Are you using the gradient bucket? Don't use the gradient bucket. Use the actual bucket tool. It's a nice fade though,
It was fun.
right? Like you can do like a nice fade to your
Wait,
projects.
so what are we supposed to do?
Get to the bucket using the gradient menu. So I'll show you. So I put the shortcut up there, it's G. You guys can see this nice fade here, right? If I was in Magic Wand, what would I do to get to the other tools? Right click, right?
Why is mine going away?
It's supposed to go away. Wait for me. So I'm in Paint Bucket now, right? Are you guys in Paint Bucket? Did you guys find it? Cool. I think I ended on Bailey. Well, okay. I'm just going to show you because I haven't done this before. What you can also do is you can come here. Since this paint is black, if I just spill black paint in there on my mask, it just masks the whole thing automatically.
So you have to switch the color.
Well, yes, if you change the color. In this class, we're almost always black and white, right? So I didn't switch anything. Did it not work for you?
No, I just keep ignoring.
Okay. You'll come around. I promise. Let me do that again from the top, okay? So I have my legs selected, right? Do you guys see that I've got my little ants marching?
Why do you have it back? Because mine's not back.
Well, before we started, I said we're going to go forward and then we're going to come back. We're going to go forward and then we're going to come back. So at some point, you were so into your work that you didn't hear my beautiful voice saying, bring your chair back. We're like Frankenstein zombie today. We're going to kill it and we're going to bring it back. We're going to kill it and we're going to bring it back. Is it back?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to recap, you could use a brush and paint it black and make it go away. That took like 3 seconds. But because I am so efficient, #lazy, I brought it back. This isn't how you guys are gonna work. These are just examples. The leg is back. For me, it's easier to go to G for paint bucket. How do I get to paint bucket from G? Right click, good. And I loved all of like the gestures. I got like this, I got this, I got that. Love it, whatever. You right click and you go to paint bucket. Thank you for not flipping me off at this point, okay? I bring back the paint bucket and I just click in here and it does it in like a half second. I like being efficient. Did it not work? Cool. Okay. What if it didn't work? What if it didn't work? Because it could happen. You did something wrong. Can you guys think of 2 things that could have gone wrong? So let me help you because we wasted a lot of time with all these restarts. Wait, your hand was going up? What?
You click on the white box.
Yeah, so I could be on my layer and not my layer mask. So if you did that and your leg turned black, is that the right thing to do? No, especially if you're in masking. If you wanted to paint it black, good, be avant-garde. But if we're trying to mask, we don't want it to be black. The other thing that could have happened is, what if it didn't turn black? The color matters, right? What if you were having fun and you were playing with like purple or red? Can you mask using red?
No.
Can you mask using white? White doesn't mask. White brings stuff back. So on that note, if I wanted to bring this back, I can hit X. Do you guys see how my paint color is now white? And then boom, it brings it back. Okay? So black and white is just, those are the 2 colors that we're working with. Do we want to ever work on our actual image layer when we're masking? No, just on that mask. So that little guy next to it is the mask. So before we started, like the adding and subtracting, we had a layer mask and I said if we want to add to it, could you guys answer that question now? So if you've already masked something and you want to add to it or take away from it, do you know how?
Yeah, I can
Yep.
tell you. I don't know if I can actually do it.
The thing that's amazing about your brain is it just goes on autopilot. Like it will do, so I'm the opposite. I couldn't tell you, but I could do it. You know, I'm totally the opposite. Like it just goes on autopilot.
Wait,
So-
what do you do again? So if you want to add.
So if you want to add, you can, so at this point, I'm going to get rid of this. Let's say that we want this back piece. Let's pretend that that's green. So at this point, we want to add. If we wanted to add, first we have to go, we don't even have to go to a selection tool, to be completely honest. Fundamentally, what color do we need to add to our mask to bring something back? White. So I could hit the brush, and if it's white, do you see how it's starting to come back? Bless you. Okay? So that's the most basic way. That's what we did last week when we were doing our scratcher cards. Black and white, bring it back, take it away.
Do I have to be on the other layer?
You always have to be on your mask. That's the only other layer that we have.
It's not doing it.
It will. So let's see why it's not.
Because your leg is still selected. How do
Control
we
D.
select
Control D to deselect. Yep.
There we go.
Yay! Okay. So fundamentally, we know that black takes it away, white brings it back. Should we just use the brush tool to do this, though? should we just use the paint bucket to do this? How can we be more precise about this and how we're selecting stuff? We could use the quick selection tool, Poly, magnetic lasso. Really, the selection tools are up to you guys, right? There's a new window selection tool that we don't have in here yet, but hopefully maybe one day. Try it at home, but it's up to you guys to decide what you're most comfortable with, okay? On that note, part of finding out if it's really working and you really get it is trying it on your own. And this one's tricky because we've got white areas that are totally blank, but then we've got white areas of highlight, so we have to kind of distinguish between the two of them. What I'd like you guys to do, without panic, right, because we're just learning right now, so there's no need to panic. We can always undo or try it again. I want you guys to try and mask this chair as best as you can. Remembering it was kind of a pain last week, right? Let's see if it'll play nicer this week. And our favorite keys will be right here, Alt and Shift. Okay? You can decide how much you want to do, like just creating your mask, or how much you want to do after you've created your mask. So I'm going to pause the last little bit for the exercise today. So you all have this art space file, right? And this is an image that was actually on an architect's website to show the work that they've done. And it's not that I think it's a bad building or a bad image, but I think it's unfortunate that the sky is so washed out. I think it just makes it look like it's slightly dreary. I don't know what's going on. So this is going to be a 2-part assignment, and a lot of what we're going to be doing will be 2, 3, and 4 parts. So just to give you guys the long overview, this week we're going to start just by masking out the existing sky. Okay, so that'll be part 1. Make sure you have that done, because when we come in next week, we're going to add a new sky behind it, right? So that's part 2. And then after that, we're going to add different objects. People, logos, a dog, you know, we're just going to be adding different components. And then after we add the components, we're going to learn how to edit those components so that the lighting of the components that we brought in match the lighting of whatever's going here. And we're going to be doing that with lots of files. So we have art space that we're going to be doing as our exercise. And then your homework will be to do a few other files that I've given to you. One of them is called the Villa Savoy. It's a building that I love, that I've never been to, but I know that I love it. It's in France. And then we have the Villa Savoy, and we have something called the Salk Institute. So the Salk Institute is in La Jolla. It's a building that you can go visit. I go at least once or twice a year. Like, to me, it's like this architectural pilgrimage. I'll be there again in March. But those are the 2 files that will be 3 files, including this one. We're just going to keep adding onto it. So it's important to have your work done before you come to class tomorrow so that we can jump right on. And then just days like today, when we end early, you guys can hop in and start working on your homework. If it's not unlocked yet, I will unlock it for you. But on the roof, let me zoom in right here. Make sure you're paying attention to the tiles here on the roof. I don't want to get rid of those. We've got a couple satellites and an exit stair. So preserve all of the architectural elements of the building. And it's really just the sky that we're trying to get out. So it'll take you a minute to mask it, but hopefully after these selection methods that we've gone over today, it'll be easier for you. At least more easy than it was like an hour ago. Linda?
So are we masking the sky, or are we masking everything else?
You're masking the sky.
Just the sky?
Yep, the sky. So we'll keep the building so we can add a new sky behind it. Okay. Any questions about that? Now before you go, it just depends on when you get your work done, but don't forget to submit these 3 files before you guys go. So, for example, here in part 2, I'm looking for, sorry, let me pull over the other one. I had too many windows open. This one. Okay, so I want Brewer and Spark that we've done together. And then I also want an image of your choice. Like, what do you want to mask and isolate? So one more in addition to the two that we've done. And then the other exercise part will be the art space. So this is what I'll be looking for. So building elements are preserved. Oh, I didn't talk about this. I'm glad I'm going over the rubric. So see how I wrote layer, naming, and organization is consistent and professional? You guys will see that quite a bit. It's not that big of a deal yet, but it's just good to kind of get into the habit of these things. What we can do right now, do you see how this is called layer 1? Remember how I said in just a minute we'll be adding a sky and a whole bunch of other components? It's really hard to decide what's layer 1, 2, 3, and 4. So one thing that I'd like you guys to get into the habit of is double click on where it says layer 1 or any layer and give it a proper name. So I can call this art space building or just art space. Right? It just makes it easier to know what's selected because sometimes the images that you pull in are so small in the layer preview you might not know what you're working on. So sometimes just seeing that name helps quite a bit. And let me look at, so I'm actually going to take this part off. So I did test layer is included to show the contrast of the mask. I don't think you guys need this anymore. I'm going to show it to you and you guys, if you want to do it, you can, but I'm not going to require it this semester. What I used to do, so here, I just have a hard time seeing stuff. That's really what it comes down to. Like I don't have the best vision. And so sometimes even this red, I'd have a hard time seeing that white line stick out. So what used to help me is I would actually create a new layer and I'd call it test, and I'd pick a crazy contrast color, like even a bright red, and then using the paint bucket, I'd paint just a test layer red, and you see how now that white sticks out a lot more than it did with the lighter color? Again, I won't require it, but this is just what I meant by that. So if you happened to see the assignment before I posted it, I'm going to take it off. But if you ever find that you're having a hard time seeing what you've selected versus what you've masked versus what you haven't, this is a little trick that I kind of have to use sometimes, but not all the time. Okay, and let me make sure there's nothing else in there. Nope. Okay, any questions about what you're submitting and how you're submitting it? No? Okay, let me make sure so these are just the exercise portion. There is still the assignments. Let me just show you what those look like. Let me go under assignments. So here are the two buildings that we'll be working with. So with the Salk Institute, we've got the Salk Institute and the paraglider. You guys will not like me for the paraglider because for the paraglider, I ask, this will be tricky. Please preserve as many of the strings as possible to make it look realistic. So first let me show you the Salk Institute. So similar to Art Space, we are going to mask the sky and put a new sky behind it. That will be your assignment next week. This week it's just masking the sky. Okay?
So you don't want it to go like that.
Opposite. I'm going to show you, it's so easy. Click on your mask and hit Control-I really quick for invert. I usually don't show you those tricks, but because we had so many technical difficulties, it's my gift to you.
So how do I do it?
Click on your layer mask and then hit Control-I. It inverts it. Yes? No?
Now it's all.
Let me help you in one sec. Let me get through this. Sorry. Okay. So, do you guys see all these little strings? You don't need all of them, but you need a good bunch of them because it needs to look like he is still attached to his parachute. I don't want the sky behind it. I just want the strings. Try your best, okay? Just try your best. I've been really impressed with what people can do, and I've been really disappointed. Just try your best is all I'm asking, okay?
You want the bottom too, right?
So, yeah, so I want the parachuter, the strings, and his parachute.
You don't want the people on the bottom?
No.
Okay.
No, just him. So I only want him, okay? So mask him off, and then also mask out the sky of the Salk Institute. And for now, you're just turning in the PSDs of those files, and I'm just going to be peeking at those. Eventually, we're going to keep adding on to it, okay? Vila Savoy, let me show you guys this one too. So this one is also just a mask. So here I say only the building structure, including the columns. None of the ground or sky plane should be visible. Okay, let me show you what questions come up. Is this a ground plane or building? Ground, okay. Ground plane or building? Building. There's a leaf on it. Is it ground plane or building?
Ground.
It's still part of the building. We don't want to cut off the whole corner of the building. We will learn how to fix this, so it's okay if there's a little leaf on it. Columns, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, they're part of the building. So basically everything but the ground, and it's okay that we have a little leaf. The only thing that you need to do with these 3 files, so the 3 files I'm referring to are Salk, the parachuter, and this one is the Vila Savoy. You're only masking at this point, and you're masking it as best as you can. Only masking. Next week we're going to learn how to do more stuff with them. Add images behind them, add images in front of them, shrink them, all this fun stuff. Okay? Yes, the backgrounds? Yeah, you'll get to choose the images on the background. Essentially what I'll be asking you to do on the Salk Institute, on the Vila Savoy, since I have yet to go to France and see this building, I want you to bring it to me. So yes, you get to pick it, but I'd like it to be a Utah landscape. I might be open to North America, anywhere without a passport for me. Bring it a little bit closer to me. Okay? All right, so please submit those before class next week. I don't have questions this week, it's just the assignment, and the rest of the time is for you to work. I didn't think we'd get through everything with all those false starts and stops, so these should be open for you guys to work on.